Right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How's everybody doing? Happy New Year. Happy 2024. Hope you're a better person than you were a week ago. And that obviously everything's changed. How is the music to voice ratio? It's pretty loud for me, but that might just be my volume settings. You guys let me know, because it seems to change every week, despite the fact that I change nothing. But it has been a while since I've done a stream. Like most people, I had some time off over Christmas and New Year's. It's just a nice time for me personally to take a bit of a break, have a bit of a reflection on the year, and spend some time with my daughter and my wife in particular. And had a load of family down and stuff. So, you know, it was nice. It's nice to kind of keep a eye on the market and not really be too involved. Excuse me. In terms of low time frame rotational plays, and just reset my batteries, to be honest with you, because it's quite intense when, you know, you trade like I do, which is on a lot of low time frame alt rotations, which arguably it's easier just to drop a 4-hour chart, find some decent levels, and take positions and walk away. Volume mix is good. Good. Music sounds alright. Excellent. Was this everyone's first or second day of trading? Because I didn't trade yesterday. Yesterday was my last kind of day off, quote unquote. Today was my first day and it's not gone wonderfully. But that's fine. We keep moving. Happy New Year, James Frost. Hello stream, hello Trader HB. Hello, everybody. So, are we all super bullish now we've broken out of this range? And even after this, we've started to, you know, show some signs of weakness in terms of these kind of divergences and bringing it slowly back into the range. Are we all convinced that the ETF isn't inevitable and it's going straight to infinity? Chilling the spot, short with BTC at 45600. Nice. That is a pretty tasty position given the recent price action. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, despite the fact that I'm called BTC Charlie, which is a very legacy name at this point, given that I trade 95 to 99% altcoins. Yeah, I'm just not that interested in BTC at the moment. Obviously, we've got everything around the corner with the ETF, and whether it's approved or not, whether it's priced in, yada yada yada, who knows, right? I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know the answer to that question like everyone else on crypto Twitter. What I am going to do is I'm going to look at some charts, I'm going to look at some high time frame analysis, I'm going to couple that with the risk reward of just getting bare long at this point and just going balls deep in BTC for whatever reason. Versus the fact that I actually have some spot BTC that I've had for a long time, that I've DCA'd into for years at this point. And that's just a really good way for me to manage FOMO, and me to essentially manage, like, I think of it as a pension, in terms of, if I'm sat here for however many hours a day, for however many years of my life, trading crypto, and Bitcoin actually does go to $1 million or $200,000 or something like that, and I don't have at least a stack of X Bitcoin, well, I'm a fucking idiot, aren't I? Let's be honest. There's a great tweet by, what's his name? Not Hentai Avenger, Degen Spartan, saying, "Imagine being so underexposed to a market that you dedicate your life to." And I think that's why I've always had like a decent Bitcoin stack. Music in the background's a bit too loud. You see, it kind of changes person by person, but I'll do it down a little bit because it's a little bit too high for me. But yeah, I mean, for me, like, I'm not gonna just long this consolidation. I don't want to be balls deep risk on going into the whole ETF approval. The last few months have been absolutely wild in terms of alt rotations. I mean, they continue to be, right? Like, look at Perp today. Absolutely bananas. Was I long? No, I wasn't. I longed OP instead and basically round trip that trade. I was long OP, where are we? Basically through this. this move up here. Nope, lies, absolute lies. Well done, Charlie. This move here, I just round tripped it, and that was basically my trading day. And now I've tried to get back on board in a rotational play based on these divergences down here, and really no strength, not much in terms of size, no rotation in terms of relative strength. So basically picked a poor coin with not great strength. I'm pretty sure this is OP. Nope, sweet, wonderful. Well, wherever the fuck it is, it's not at the top, which is what counts. You know, what you want to see is you want to see some form of momentum divergences, saying this looks like it's going to start changing direction. And if you start seeing that with relative strength as confluence, you can size on and actually manage that position quite effectively, as opposed to just yeeting a divergence for the sake of yeeting a divergence, if that makes any sense. I love the DYDX chart. Okay. Well, we'll go there in a minute. I'm going to kind of carry on my ramble on BTC. Like, for me, I'm just not, you know, super... This is my squiggles from the Paragon stream this morning. Well, Paragon Outlook, rather. Like, I'm literally just interested in if this is like a deviation. So I really like this trade setup. It's quite a common one. I've banged on about this before. Parabolic move, establish a range, sweep the former highs, come back in the range, free short, right? Do I want to fade the greatest asset on the history of humanity? Not really. But will I take it just as a high time frame hedge against me being able to trade altcoins to the long side, which is, you know, my absolute preferred trading style? Yes, I will. I'm quite happy to do that. The only thought process that goes against that at the moment, really, is the fact that I am reasonably long on spot ETH. And I've been in this position, as you can see, for quite a while. So I'm longing laggards, which isn't really the Charlie thing to do. To be honest, I'm usually long whatever has relative strength. But when you look at ETH from a high time frame perspective, you know, I was shorting this here. I was in a profitable short for a while, again as a hedge at a decent level to essentially all of my altcoin trading. It wasn't back here, no, it was here, wasn't it? I caught a short literally there. Got my entry tested, and then it just took me out eventually, which was fine because during that period I was long every altcoin and its mother, getting every little bit of juice out of the market I possibly could. But if we died, I could sit there and quite comfortably, well, just be quite comfortable in my short position on Ethereum. Vice versa, if I get, you know, chopped up on this one, that's alright, because on an intraday basis I am trading altcoins quite vigorously. Hey, I'm about for once in time. Good evening. Hello, Tony, work in progress. Good evening, Touche, Finkel Trader. Hello. Good evening, Trader Frank. There's loads of people tonight. We are blessed. You can kind of feel the bull market sort of vibes being back. Now, it's nowhere near like it was in 2021. Not for me anyway, but there's certainly a lot more engagement out there, there's certainly a lot more interest, there's certainly a lot more tweets. So, you know, there was a period in time, I think I follow about 500 people or whatever, and there was a period in time where, you know, you'd see the tweets basically be live, they'd drip in, ... you know. It was not as relentless as it is now, whereas, you know, I look at my phone and it's just like bang, 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 new tweet every like couple of seconds. Notice me, Charlie. Hello, Weaver Beaver. Hello, Crypto Woito. How are you, my friend? Hello, Mark Toes. Hello again, Touche and NT. We've got a lot of people today. This is... I'm starting to get nervous. Oh. Good evening, Chalky. But yes, I'm in spot ETH. I have been for some time, as you can see, back, you know, the kind of start-ish of... halfway through December. It's felt like an eternity, put it that way. And one of the things that I'm very conscious of is, you know, ETH BTC. We've essentially had this kind of bouncing ball in terms of momentum. If I delete all of this, and you can just see thought process. I'm sure you've all seen this chart 100 times. Microphone? What? I'm sure you've all seen this 100 times. Just literally this kind of inverse parabola and move, and just literally bouncing from high time frame support and then small bounce, and, you know, this doesn't look particularly great. So I'm not wonderfully convinced about my spot ETH position, but I will just hold it because why not? I need some form of spot exposure from a trading perspective to the upside for me to just feel semi-comfortable. 3,400 ETH by March? Yeah, maybe. But the question is, does it do this first? I like that I ended that at basically exactly 3,400. But, that's the kind of conundrum, and that's the difficulty. If you are convinced and you have, like, no stop, great. Good for you. Sold all your ETH for BTC. It's not a bad shout, in all honesty. Looking at this, you would think that a breakdown is potentially imminent. There are some sort of pseudo signs that there's some momentum change, but really, market structure is pretty piss poor, and actually, it is at a very high time frame pivotal level. It will be interesting, especially with the whole ETF news. I've seen different takes. I've seen if the ETF is approved, the focus will move from Bitcoin to altcoins and Ethereum, and the whole ETH BTC along will be the play to take. And that's kind of how I'm positioning into it, right? Is that the same ETH trade from 2130 to 3,600? What do you mean, mate? I've been in that for ages. I literally bought the stop up from down here to up here somewhere, and it's been like that for, well, a few weeks. This isn't my actual target, by the way. This is just me memeing. I will, take bits off along the way, most likely, as opposed to just having a ridiculous target at $6,000. Yes, that's my current positioning and thoughts on ETH, and people who want to jump in on BTC and basically pray for a breakdown of ETH BTC. I don't see why not. If the ETF is approved, this chart will show you unequivocally what is happening, as will this. So if you do get that approval and you are quick enough, you are trading using a terminal of some description, and you can jump on board or rebalance your portfolio rather quite quickly, then yeah, go for it. But I'm kind of happy with my setup at the moment, and we have seen a bit of death of altcoin beta today. A few obvious outperformers, but not as wonderful as it's been for the last few weeks. And by that, what I mean is, if you start looking at this and you start looking at spaghetti in terms of, let's actually pick a decent pivot point instead of just scrolling to a random place, shall we? Now on Bitcoin Kraken, wonderful. The outperformance or underperformance rather of altcoins versus BTC. I mean, when BTC has a down period, altcoins tend to have a much worse period in terms of they are higher beta. And for the opposite, when Bitcoin is going up, altcoins tend to outperform, and I pay a lot of interest to the mix of altcoins that are outperforming BTC or underperforming BTC. And here you had that wonderful trade on perp, which to be honest I completely missed, and that was because I was an already pumped or, but it is my first day back in the market, so mistakes will be made. I certainly feel very how do I put it? Very slow. Which even in that response, even in the thought process behind that response, you probably get. I'm just not in the flow of the market today, and that's fine, right? I sit back, I review the trades that I missed, and why I missed them, why I didn't take the perp trade, and we just go from there. And the reason is that the perp chart, I wasn't feeling good enough about my abilities to literally just trade that like up only breakout, essentially up here. This move up here. And as soon as it did that, I was like, nah, that's it, it's done. And I was completely wrong. Which, we're gonna have those days. Maybe just catch up on chat. Happy New Year, Crypto Guap. Do you have any interest in BRC20 tokens? Not really, mate. Happy New Year, Miles, my friend. Dumb question, is that a paid feature of TradingView? No, my friend, it's not. It's actually, it is. So technically it's a, let me dump it in the chat. So technically it's a free feature, but for this many tickers, you need the, can't remember which one it is, but you need a higher version of TradingView, like the premium plan or something like that. Any thoughts on PYR? We can come to some more coins in a minute. I think, so for me that was kind of my trading day, like literally longing OP. I've basically had alerts on pretty much everything, like I'm playing a lot of similar setups, like I'm just looking at everything as ranges. I don't have any massive high time frame directional trades that I'm happy with, apart from ETH obviously, which I'm in. Oh, though I wouldn't say I'm super happy with it. I think we've got an interesting few days ahead of us. I think I would much rather just play some clean setups and some altcoin rotations. I posted this on Twitter the other day, and quite a few people got it, and someone actually put a community notes on it, which was great. I was an engagement baiting something or other. I'm not sure I can repeat the word without Twitch banning me. But this whole like run up in terms of, let me just delete all of this. This run up in terms of, you know, this kind of parabolic market structure and that move and these consistent highs, it just creates this like wonderful compression, which usually, if you get any form of low time frame relative strength, is a pretty good trade. Let's just do the meme curve just for the boys and girls in the chat, and days obviously. I'm very modern and woke these days. So yeah, that kind of thought process of like literally buyers are in control, but never got the wonderful piece of relative strength. It just sat there doing like literally nothing. And that's why I find relative strength, i.e. this chart here, or spaghetti, whatever you want to call it, so good. So good in terms of that confirmation, in terms of should I be in this at all. Velo looks good. I'm waiting for the reclaim to long. Yeah, I mean, this is like one of the best setups, right? In these conditions is literally you have price action, you have something like this, and then you have a reclaim, and then it just fucks off. Like, and literally longing that reclaim of like a previous range after a strong sell-off, like, it sounds really stupid, because it is, because it's really Billy basic, but that's a hell of a lot of what I've been doing. And it just pays off. And the converse of that is something like this, where you have a strong setup, you miss the reclaim, and you play the breakout. So I played this, I keep getting them confused, Sui and Say. So this is, yeah, there you go. So Say here, so high beta coin, very in play, a really strong uptrend, just been ridiculous for a while, right? I think this is the Wolf's favorite shitcoin to pump, and it's always fun when the Wolf's on board. So you've got this range here, you've got that strong sell-off, you've got a reclaim kind of down here, and a reclaim here, which I preferred because you've got the confluence of this being support, this being resistance, etc, 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 and that being resistance, and yeah, that retest. But where I longed it was up here. I longed this breakout up here, and I had some orders just basically across, just layered up here with a trading stop, and I managed to get out at 7.2, I think, on average. So yeah, that was just a, you know, high time frame range breakout play, and like literally it's that kind of stuff that is just printing at the moment for me anyway. I say dump will be marvelous. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these altcoins, their dumps will be marvelous, right? The thing for me is there's going to be somebody that catches the absolute Pico top short, right? And they are going to be, wow, what a fucking legend. Incredible. Like, incredible. Well done. You caught the Pico Schmico top, and you probably get like it probably goes minus 40-50%, something like that. But you could have literally longed it pretty much, like, well, anywhere really. Like, obviously this is all hindsight, but you could have just done the same, just playing the trend. And if you were compounding that a bit, like, you know, it kind of always pays to be long over the long term, right? Because your maximum potential return from a short is limited, whereas from a long, it's in theory unlimited. Yeah, not that I was longing it down here, obviously, but yeah, in these conditions I just don't like. I don't like taking shorts on altcoins, purely because they have a tendency to just rip you a new asshole. I'm happy to short ETH, I'm happy to short BTC, but beyond that, the only times I will short is if I see something that literally looks like that and is literally just giving me that free setup in terms of how I like to look at fading that first failure of an absolutely parabolic move. And even that's not usually for much more than kind of 10-15%, depending on what it is and what the meta is, etc. It's like Bonk. I was talking about Bonk this morning in terms of I wanted to let's go for the whole Sol rotation. You know, I missed this rotation here. I actually marked this chart up on Monday, and I was, you know, just putting some ideas in the group, but I didn't even post this one for some reason. Just the fact that if Sol breaks out, there's a nice little range forming, yada yada yada, and like literally it just ran. Now I'm looking at it down here, going, okay, well, do I want to play it back up to here? And for Bonk, you know, it's similar thought process here, that if we get some form of beta on Bonk, I think Bonk probably has another run in it. I think, you know, if Sol goes and we get a little bit of a Sol season and all that kind of stuff again, Bonk will just start ripping again, right? But it's nowhere near the trade that it was a while ago, right? It's absolutely had a huge parabolic run, and it's been in a downtrend for quite some time, but I do think that that it gets another rotation. But that's why I'm always looking at this. So if I want to long Bonk, I've got two choices. I can either take a high time frame positional play, which looks something like this, and I can just assume that it doesn't get back under these lows, and that the way I've drawn my range is wonderfully perfect. Yeah, it's not particularly clean. It's not too bad, I suppose, in terms of the touches, and that's all I'm looking at the moment. Apologies, I've got a lot of shite on this chart, but hopefully you get the picture, right? For me, like, trying to get on board in terms of, okay, well, what's my entry trigger? I mean, there's not really anything in terms of momentum divergences, right? I'm sure it's like, if you squint, you can probably say there's a semi-hidden div, but the reality is there's nothing apart from meme range levels to take this trade at the moment. So that's why, you know, I don't like it. But if I start seeing some relative strength and high beta from Bonk, which I believe is in green, let's try and get this one right, shall we, Charlie? That one's Rune. That's JMX. Rip. Is it this one? Bonk. Hey, there we go. It's green, just a different shade of green. I need to tidy these up a little bit. You know, if I can see some form of relative strength, even if the entry's higher, even if the entry's up here, right? You get the entry and you get it later, but you've got a better invalidation, you've got the confirmation of relative strength. You know, it's a higher EV trade in terms of the expectation that it actually plays out to what you wanted to do is going to be higher. Do you think there would be a pump and dump around ETF approval? I would be surprised if there's not some kind of Arthur Hayes, you know, Darth Maul candle. But equally, we've said that before, and if we look at XRP, when the news came out about the whole XRP case, you know, way back when, feels like a lifetime ago now. Yeah, there was zero drawdown there. Absolutely zero. Just straight up. But I mean, I think for me, it's it's too difficult to predict what it's going to do and how people are pre-positioned for it and whether they are pre-positioned for it, whether they're looking to unload spot and yada yada yada. You just get yourself into all these bullshit games, right? These mind games and this whole game theory debate, and obviously people are going to be right, yeah? There's going to be plenty of people who are going to be right about whatever the hell happens on the day that is approved or rejected. You know, for me, if it's rejected, the market's pretty fucked, yeah? that one's quite binary. It's probably not going to go down too well. It's probably just going to go like this. You know, if anything, it'll be ETF because some people have piled in and there's a little bit of a pump because they've read the word ETF. And as soon as they see the word denied, it'll just go straight down, and altcoins will get absolutely smashed with it, right? And the thought process for me going into that is, do I want to be max positioned into this, you know, hugely long, with my entire net worth, balls to the wall, 100x leverage? Nah, not really. Not particularly. If the ETF gets approved and Bitcoin runs 5 to 10%, I imagine that liquidity will flow from altcoins to BTC. The question will be whether the alt rotation from a USD perspective, so I trade USDT or US dollar denominated altcoins, like I'm not trading alt BTC charts, I'm not on Bittrex anymore, right? I'm literally trading, you know, US dollar pairs. So the thing for me is, if Bitcoin's doing this and if alt's doing this as well, but just to a lesser extent, don't really care too much, and that's quite good for me. But if we change to a meta where Bitcoin is doing this and a lot of alts are doing this, or even worse, they're going down slightly, then that's going to be a more difficult meta for me to trade personally. And what we'll probably see is Bitcoin does this. Oh, shite, off the screen. I will be looking at things like BSV, BCH, and ordinals and SDX. So all of these, which are just arrows on your screen, but they are something in my head, are high beta Bitcoin plays, right? The problem with some of them is liquidity, so like BSV, for example. I think we talked about this last stream, we certainly talked about it in the Paragon group, which was this, that when Bitcoin gets another rotation, shit like BSV will run. It absolutely did, and I got 0 of it. So, you know, high time frame, clean levels, but it is an illiquid piece of shit. And speaking of illiquid pieces of shit, should we talk about TRP? Look at charts. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Hopefully it gets delayed or declined. You're in the market with your little toe. Yeah, I mean, there would be... There's always the argument of people want to pull back because they want to be able to get on board, and you've missed the rally, yada yada yada. But to be honest with you, on a lot of coins, you do get a chance to get on board. Like, it doesn't really matter how up only a lot of these coins have been, right? Go down to like the 4 hour, look for a 50 RSI reset. Like, okay, it's not perfect. Like, literally, like, this is like just Billy basic stuff. Let's just delete all my shite things. So 50-ish RSI, you know, you get sell-offs. And again, you get that, get those ranges going just in terms of trend continuation plays. Where are we here? You know, let's go down a little bit more. Wow, look at those, they're wonky, aren't they? Good God. I can tell I didn't hold shift down. But you're just like perpetually looking for reasons to get long after like a 50 RSI reset. Like, and there's plenty of juice like still in it. I wanna just highlight, but was it V? Gosh. You know, okay, so this signal wouldn't have been very good. That one, alright. That one, too early. But again, reclaim, simple levels, nothing fancy. Like, you can get long on high beta trending altcoins. Like, with just the most simple system ever. A few lines and an RSI. TLB was totally manipulated. I mean, yeah, Ninja hit the nail on the head, really, which is when you can move an order book, when you can move the price of an asset 2% with $200,000, which may be a lot, you know, to everyone in their back pocket, right? Yeah, I wouldn't mind $200,000. If you want to send it to me, then yeah, crack on. I'd certainly smile. But when you've deployed 10, 15 million into the shitcoin and you are looking to distribute it on people's heads, paying $200,000 for an extra 2%, well, maybe slightly more, obviously, if you're including fees and actually you've got a bit more than 15 million to make the maths work better, you know, it suddenly becomes quite appealing just to run it up by however much, you know, nearly 2x in the space of a short time frame. And then start unloading on people. I mean, this is just phenomenal. I'm glad I wasn't here to trade it to a point, because I saw some of the slippage that Cray, a guy in our group, had. You know, I think he set a stop at $180 for a trade down here, and he got filled at 176 or something, with not like massive size, but if it was big size, he would have gone absolutely fucked just from slippage. Like, it's so dangerous playing in these markets, in these illiquid markets with any form of size. How'd you get order flow on TradingView? That's a question for my good friend Magus. You don't get it, particularly not in terms of all the stuff that you would need. Where do I put my stop loss in a trade? A what? Where do I put my what? Sorry, mate, I've got balls. I don't use stops. No, it depends on the setup, is the honest answer. And it depends on why I'm taking the trade. So typically, I'll give you an example. Typically, with breakout trades and with anything that involves an aspect of time, you know, it will be mentally time gated by me. So it won't be a, oh, I'm doing a 7-hour trade. Let's talk about OP this morning. So short version is, I woke up, decided to long some OP. It was something like that to start with. It was actually ridiculous in terms of the target. It was like close to $5. You know, I wanted to play a rotation to the highs and a breakout. My initial stop is basically, let's go a little bit. I think it was something like this. I could go through my downloads, but I might also dox by doing that, so I'm not going to do that. But this is about the time I woke up and recorded the video and stuff, so that looks about right. So my initial stop was, you know, just if it starts dying and comes back to the range low, right? But I expected something quite dramatic from OP for two reasons. One, it had been a very strong performer the last couple of days. It is at or around, you know, all-time highs, strong in play altcoin. If it runs this high, it's probably going to keep going, etc., etc. But obviously Bitcoin started dumping, which is another reason why I like Spaghetti, because you see what is happening to BTC and you see what it is doing to every single altcoin. But as the trade evolves, or as it doesn't do anything, so you're sat at these highs here and it's doing nothing, you know, you have quite a strong move up into resistance, and you have a low time frame relative strength little move on Spaghetti. When you get that, that's kind of a good entry signal for me with a hard stop down here. And if we don't start moving and we don't start gaining any traction, then I will just cut the trade manually. And afterwards, as we start veering away from entry, I will just do this, and I will eventually do that, and then I will eventually not move my entry up, but I will move my stop up so that it is gradually in profit. That's how I tend to play rotations. If I want to play something like a simple high time frame pivot, so what did we talk about the other day? I'm trying to think. Stuff like this, which is, you know, just a literal short, a long here, and a stop under the lows, and a rotational play up here. Like, that was the thought process. I didn't execute this for transparency. I was AFK, and I didn't want to take a theta long, but that is the kind of high time frame thought process of you have a high time frame pivot here. You have a higher low in terms of market structure, and it's pretty much a little bit of wiggle room under there. And theta is actually genuinely quite a good fundamental project. Not shilling it, no bag, etc. But that was the thought process behind this trade. So I kind of have two very different setups, or two very different methods of putting stops on. Actually, the ETH trade is the same thought process of, if this stop was down here, for hopefully the reasons you can see on the chart, this high time frame level going across here at 1934, which is this former resistance, support, resistance, 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 support, etc. And this high time frame level here. So for me, moving that up is just, I'm not willing to take as much risk on, and yeah, move it. What exchange am I using for trading? Thank you very much for asking. Now I can shill Bybit to my heart's content. I am using Bybit. There is a link below. They are currently doing a giveaway, $500, I think. I don't think, I know. If you sign up with my ref link and you deposit $100 there, I think that's it in terms of criteria. So not much. It's on my tweets, one of my pinned tweets and stuff like that. So I will shill it relentlessly. That's it. I'm going to retire on ref link fees. My $50 a month ref link fees. Is Bybit back in the UK now? No, my friend, it is not. I didn't use spot holds you're excited about going forward. The 22 of us here, send love. there's 144 in total, so Streamlabs tells me, which is spread across YouTube and Twitch. Is Bybit KYC? Yes, it is, my friend. Thoughts on TKST? So I will talk about low caps because I've got no problem with talking about them. It is a low cap. I did invest in the private round, and I know for a fact that you're probably asking because it shat the bed today because someone dumped a couple $100K on market. Basically in an illiquid. Well, not illiquid. It's actually got pretty good liquidity, but when you dump, I think it was 200K's worth in a single transaction, it's not going to end well. And yeah, that's that. For me, I've talked about level 2 plays and something like that. Really, if you want a bag of token site, then buy low, sell high. But like I said, I've given you the disclosure. I have invested in this, and it is a reasonably low cap coin. Has a really good team. Ex ETH Foundation, Alex Kruger, if you know him, is one of the advisors, and he is a absolute powerhouse in the crypto space. Probably a little bit more behind the scenes than he gets credit for, but yeah. Can we see lower? Of course we can see lower. I can probably dump it down to about 0.2 if you want an entry. I'm joking, obviously. But I mean, like, the risk with low caps is that it is literally that you can just watch them bleed. And I had somebody in my chat saying about Inspect, and I've still got a large bag of Inspect XYZ, and that has not done as well. I don't think. I haven't actually checked the chart in a few days. It's holding up pretty well down here. But you know, I was looking at the range up here basically. That's you know, and again, like, I'll just delete this. We'll just redraw it. Yeah, again, from a high time frame pivot perspective, like the safer trade for me is like buying something like that up here, right? But that's my personal risk appetite. I want to buy things when they've got more momentum. I don't want to speculate at the lows. That's just me and my trading style. I'm all about relative strength, or almost always about relative strength, unless there is, you know, major high time frame confluences. And again, I invested in this one, yada yada yada. But you know, someone bought some of this, presumably up here somewhere, and then was messaging everything I tweeted. Replying was what do you think of Inspect? What do you think of this? What do you think of this? It's like, don't go hard on a single low cap. Unless you've got absolute maximum conviction, and if you're shitting yourself every time the price moves, particularly to the downside, you don't have the conviction that you think you have. And it's probably best for your own psychology and probably your portfolio just to cut the position and just take the loss and move on. And you know, I did the same in 2017, so I'm not trying to target an individual or anything like that. And I literally replied and said, "I think you're overinvested, mate." But yeah. Can you look at FXI? No, I don't even know what that is. How would you trade ARB? Let's have a look at ARB. ARB. I've not looked at ARB in a while. As you can see from the millions of lines that I've drawn on it. Just delete all this shite. There's not really much. It's actually quite volatile, isn't it? It's quite nice. Well, I'm trying to look for like ranges and like key like pivotal levels, and it's just not. It's just not kind of too much to go off. I don't like it when it's like this. Crispy took a big time long at 4656. Lovely. Is it an SFP because of the ETH bait? I try not to do too much trading off other charts, but I do it sometimes. You know, that whole proxy play of, well, ETH looks like shit, therefore I'm going to short this. But actually, you know, Arbitrum does not look like shit. It is in a very strong uptrend from a market structure perspective. Yes, it could quite easily cool off now. But if you start looking at, you know, the daily momentum is just absolutely ripping. That doesn't look particularly great in terms of the candle structure. But you know, I wouldn't be, like I've said, I don't want to rush into shorts. I want to see how I can get long for another leg. And I guess if you were asking me, you know, to kind of not force a trade setup, but what would be my idea of the kind of next leg, it would be a sell-off here and just a reclaim of said meme level, and that reclaim would be my trigger to kind of go long. Could be a little bit more aggressive and try and play like a breakout up here, but it tends not to be great unless there is relative strength. So I'd play a breakout of like this range here if there was relative strength, and if not, I would just literally look for a sell-off and then a reclaim. Something like that. Nothing particularly scientific at this point. Just find some beta, find some strength, and find some levels. My tweets are funny. Cheers, mate. I do try and make people smile a little bit. I think there's a lot of people who are very serious on this app, and they want to be known as, yeah, this wonderful trader on the planet that never makes a mistake, that nails every trade, and that's great. But we're all just cartoon characters at the end of the day, trading internet Ponzi's. Really not too much to kind of gloat about. Show me my blue chips. It's really hard to say this is the one, and I guess that's actually something that I've got worse at over the years, is I'm in a much more luxurious position than I was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever it was. Actually, Christ, 7 years ago, 2017. So I don't have to be as picky, right? I can put money in various different projects and not hope that they pull decent returns, but I'm far less invested in whether they do or not. Whereas originally, years ago, I was very invested. I was very emotional, is probably the word, to the swings and daily tribulations of my portfolio, moving up and down, in gargantuan numbers that were just scary to me. Weird flex, but okay, it's not really a flex. It's just I'm just not as concentrated in my bets as I used to be. I was very convinced on Rune. Rune was the one that, I used to shield to absolutely everybody. And I think I don't have bags that I just relentlessly shield to people anymore. I have a lot of bags that I'm happy to shill, but not one that I would say, look, I completely think that this is going to X. No, someone on Twitch said it's a weird flex, but I'm not trying to flex at all. I just, yeah, whatever. But stuff like Pith, again, this is similar to the inspecting we talked about. Like I've got an alert set up here. I'm interested as to when it flips this level and maybe starts going. Let's start making plans for the next kind of rotations, if there are any. I was looking at this earlier in terms of WLD. I didn't actually take a trade. I didn't get a trigger or anything like that. Unfortunately, no relative strength. So sadly, no trade. But yeah, this was like part of my outlook this morning. I'm trying to catch the next rotations and trying to think what is going to be the next thing to run. And very simply, you can do that by literally, you can see alert break there on band. You can see this weekly level on band. You can see the resulting move on band. You've had basically any form of, sorry, this is daily, not weekly. But if you start zooming out and you start looking at high time frame levels, and you look at those high time frame pivot points, and you start marking up some charts, setting some alerts, you'll find that all the time you put in doing that, the trades will kind of start coming to you. And you don't need to be longing like this. The biggest mistake I think that people make in these conditions is doing that. And just going, bosh. Like, I need a 50R trade. No, you don't. You need to make the most of these conditions, and you need to not try and get stopped out before it absolutely runs. And I myself took a tier trade before I went on like my little break over Christmas. I can't even remember where it was, but I literally longed something like this. Let's have a peep. Wasn't that because it wasn't there. I think it was here-ish. No, it's probably over here because it was later in the week, so I think it was like there. And I got stopped out. I basically had my stop like down here somewhere. I got stopped out in that. So in that little cluster down there. And I didn't have it like that, I had it literally like it's very greedy. I wanted like the next leg, basically. But if I'd have just kept a little bit of a wider stop, I would have still been in that. I managed it through the position size as opposed to anything else. Did you get rid of There Is No Second Best? Yeah, inadvertently, Stone of Ellie, I did. I can't remember what it was. I like reinstalled Streamlabs and it just got rid of it. And I've kind of migrated over to YouTube now anyway, so I do Twitch and YouTube, but it streams to both. But I'm kind of trying to grow my YouTube a little bit, but I don't put too much effort into it, to be honest. It's a bit awkward, isn't it? Is the RSI divergence indicator public? It is not, but it is pretty much. It's pretty much a. Is it KZX or KXZ? It's pretty much that. Just changed around a tiny bit. Easier to do low R trades when you trade with more money. I mean, when you do a 3R trade with $5 risk, you probably, yeah, exactly. Missed the hour of say twice because of tight stops. Well, should have just stuck to the 4 hour. I mean, it depends on your trading style and how comfortable you are with low time frame, like risk management, right? Like for me personally, I love just longing breakouts, and I can handle myself like on a low time frame basis in terms of execution and fast execution as and when. But I know a lot of people struggle with that, right? And a lot of people will sit there and they'll get the whole like analysis paralysis, and they'll get, especially when a position starts moving against them, you know, what do I do? How do I handle that? Oh shit, close, and then it just fucks off. Right, so like one of the bonk longs I took was in here. And, you know, I was literally... Ow. God damn. I knew that was going to happen. You know, absolutely ridiculous. Wife was nagging me to come to bed. And was like, what are you doing? Even Magus DM'd me and he was like, what are you still doing awake? And like, I was just longing, like turbo longing in here because of all these rejections. And just, you know, basically micromanaging this position. And I think I sized on and off a few times in this chop, basically. And then eventually caught the bulk of this and sold it up here somewhere. I didn't catch the whole thing, but I neither round tripped it nor rode it for the rest of the glory. Do I ever use fibs? No, I don't. But I understand why people do, because it's really hard to... Oh, the speech bubbles on spaghetti are just my doodles. I understand why people use fibs, I just don't personally like them. The reason I don't like them is they're just as arbitrary as any other target. And it just makes smart people feel smart. Can I check out PYR? If they pay me $100,000, yes, I can. Just chuck it in. Oh, it's going straight to 0, I'm afraid. Sorry. Nah, there's a lot of charts like this. You know, whatever this is, like a year and a half long range. $500 days, 550 days. Sheesh. I think anything breaking out of that kind of range is... Let me just change that to green. You know, these are wonderful breakouts to play. You've had another range and consolidation up here. I mean, for me, do I want to be super bullish on it? Don't know. Not me personally. I think gaming isn't going to do as well as people think, but I could be wrong. I probably will be wrong, and I'm happy for people who are in this trade. I think there are better options personally. What was a game changer to you to become profitable? Ooh, that's a good question. And it's actually really personal to me, and it's going to be the same thing for you, I would suggest. And what I mean by that is, my weaknesses aren't going to be your weaknesses, and your weaknesses won't be mine, right? So I struggled particularly to take risk, which might sound really fucking stupid because that's kind of what we're doing, right? We are trying to take risk, and we are trying to take calculated probabilities that turn out in our favour, based on a variety of factors, technical analysis, market sentiment, fundamentals, sometimes rotational narrative plays, even news events, that kind of thing. And I struggled with sizing massively, and I would lose a lot on my poor trades and win very small on my good trades, and vice versa. I was never liquidated because I just did not take enough risk, fundamentally. And when I started journaling and managing my psychology better, because I did start off by, longing green candles and longing tops, expecting a breakout constantly and never being able to size off, and watching that P&L that I'd made through the day just disappear and be given back to the market. And that would be my classic, right? My classic would be I'd catch a nice dip, and I'd ride something up, and it'd be great, like lovely, tick, close that trade. I'd then watch something sort of grind up, and I'd be like, right, max long, this is going to break out, and then I'd just watch it kind of come back in. I wouldn't close the position. I didn't have the kind of fortitude to be able to just say I was wrong, and then I'd just watch it do that, and like that trade would be negated massively by that one. And occasionally double dipping and like averaging in, which I am very clear and concise with my rules these days as to how big I'm allowed to go on particular trades, and that takes time, and I get it wrong sometimes. I'm not going to preach and say I'm perfect. Sometimes I go hard on trades that just you get a -2% candle before you can even put your stop on, and suddenly you're a bit fucked. But yeah, I guess my biggest pain points, as are probably going to be most of yours, were just around that psychological execution. And it was a combination of feeling like I was invincible when my P&L went like that, and then giving a lot back. I'm sure that's a familiar sight for people. And it was, if you have a high confluence trade setup, and you just go, well, I don't really like it because it's been in a downtrend, but I've got this great theory as to why PYR is going to be the next big thing, yada yada yada. I'll buy a third position size down here. Why are you doing that? Literally got like equal lows. You've got the easiest invalidation of your life. At least take the whole size down here, assuming it's reasonably liquid, right, and can handle your size. Like that mindset shift of like, how far down can it go, and what's the upside versus what the downside is. I actually struggled with that, believe it or not, as a former accountant. And it wasn't the calculation or any of that stuff. It was just it looks like shit, I don't want to risk it. Whereas I would rather, typically from a trading perspective, be longing something that has some form of upside momentum. I'm still like it to this day in terms of trading like that. But my position sizing and taking on risk, or my attitude to taking on risk, is a lot better than it was. And they were the big things I struggled with. So like the semi-autistic person did not struggle with systemization at all, did not struggle with saying like, you don't long at extremes, or you don't do whatever, or you stick some bands on, or you can only long over the 200 EMA or something like that. You do all sorts of stuff to systemize, absolutely not a problem. And from a technical analysis perspective, I think I came up with a system that made sense to me quite quickly. But yeah, that whole balancing of risk was probably the biggest change for me, and the only reason that I recognised that was through journaling. So journaling your setups and saying why did you do this? Why, and then ask yourself why you didn't do it with size. Why did you think that your very simple range with no other confluence is like an A+ setup, and you went max size? Okay, you got the deviation, but did you have any relative strength? Is this altcoin a good altcoin, or is it actually just some piece of shit that's like old and dead, and you're just taking it because you're kind of semi-bored? And what's Bitcoin looking like? How strong is this relative to BTC? So you've longed the coin that's up here. You've longed big time in this instance, right? Big time's reclaimed the range. It's got relative strength. It's got kind of everything behind it. It's let's pretend it's the hot narrative in town. Like, why are you not going max size on that? Why are you, like, even though it's a pretty shitty setup, It's kind of in terms of like the technicals on, you know, just price action. Actually, you've got relative strength there, and if it's on meta, as in it's in play massively to whatever shite we're doing at the moment, which is, you know, metaverse, I think, and gaming, isn't it, big time? Like, if that's the case, then you should be making sure that you are sizing properly. And it's only through journaling and reviewing you learn that a little bit more, and you look back on it and you go, yeah, do you know what? I could have sized up more there. And here's the rationale as to why. And then when you take your next trade, you will look for that rationale, see if it exists in the market, and if it does, great. And if you size up and it doesn't work out, you review it again, and you just keep going and going and going until eventually you've got a ton of trades and a ton of data to say how you read the market, that's a big thing, and how you execute based on your reading of the market. Because that's what we're doing, right? We're all reading tea leaves and trying to come up with a trade. Check out GMT. I'll have a look in a sec. Thoughts on reward asset narrative? I was actually very early to that narrative. I longed Raven, and it was one of my favourite trades this year, which is someone else's question, purely because I got so much shit for it. Which is down here. I got so much shit, and I actually entered on like this. There's like a 15-minute triangle or some shite. It was literally. What am I doing? It's getting towards the end of the stream, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it was literally like this. Again, similar setup. So it's exactly the same setup as was on Say, right? Exactly the same. And yeah, that's where I piled in. And piled in the breakout, and like in this, and my average was up here. So I started buying down here, and I averaged it in basically through that. So yeah, that was the Raven trade, which obviously went on to do a lot more, right? But I was pretty happy with that. As a lot of things went on to do, right? But whatever that was, you know, 14-hour trade. Join my paid group, blah blah blah. What changed about your sizing? Yeah, so journaling. Probably didn't need to have such accumulation. Well, sorry mate, I don't get your comment, Tiberian. I've obviously moved on. AVAX TA, ooh, I don't like AVAX. Ugh. It's not great, is it? I don't like typical meme patterns, but it's a bit head and shoulders-y, isn't it? AVAX is one that like had a really nice run, but I didn't catch much of it at all, if I'm being honest. So I don't know, mate. I just probably wouldn't trade it, to be honest. Which means I'll miss the next leg. So it's almost guaranteed to go straight to $100. Not financial advice, educational purposes only, obviously. Which long woo here looks like a clear range reclaim. Let's have a peep. Yeah, it looks nice. That's, you know, the difference between like that and AVAX is that you've got that like very clean level in there. And that's exactly the setup that we were talking about earlier in terms of just, you know, you've got consistent lows, you've got that deviation, you've got that reclaim, and like you've got a really easy invalidation of that. Now you can have a quite wide stop on that in terms of, you know, something like this, where your minimum target is the range highs, and you know, if you really want to be aggressive, some form of continuation. Obviously there's a lot of support for Woo generally on crypto Twitter, but yeah, from a chart perspective, it is not bad at all. Actually, fear and greed are the biggest problem. TA is the easier side of trading. It comes with experience. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, TA is very easy. Like, you can teach anyone TA, like, in, you know, a couple of hours, probably. It's not difficult to draw some lines and charts and say, oh, this is bullish, this is bearish. But actually risking money and taking on a position where you can lose money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, it's a really weird Really weird, like, place to be, right? Like, you can, how do I put it? You can lose, like, people's salaries, and you can lose numbers that, you know, are just beyond thinking about in seconds in crypto. Seconds. You know, someone I know clicked a wrong link, bang, wallet drained for $100,000. $100,000. Like, good God. Just for clicking a wrong link. Yes, they had $100,000 to start with, you know, well done. But it's so brutal. And obviously I'm not talking about trading in that case, he got like drained and hacked, but yeah, it's one of the only jobs where you can wake up poorer after doing a 12 to 18 hour day at work. Any ideas on Matic? No, not now. I did look at Matic before. Matic's a bit, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, it's similar in terms of like level to level play, right? If you just want to take a level to level trade, then it's the level to level trade is there. Literally, same again. Bit of a wider stop. I probably wouldn't be too aggressive. I'd probably take it up to there. I don't know why I've drawn that up there. Oh, I can see why I've drawn that up there actually. Good. I don't just make things up. Yeah, it's this. Bosh. But realistically, there's this here, which I appreciate that is tiny for all of you. Yeah, so something like that. Again, little 3-hour trade. You're just basically playing a daily market structure continuation play, which, to be honest, it doesn't look great given the daily looks like it's going to close like this. If anything, that looks like a pretty brutal shift in daily market structure. So I would not be wanting to take that actually. I completely take that back, and I'm going to delete that so no clout can be awarded later. Yeah, if it closes like that, it's not going to be wonderful. Because what you've got is just delete everything. You know, you've got reasonable market structure up to this point, and then actually this would be a lower high, and you don't really want to be, or I don't really want to be building a position there. Hey Charlie, Happy New Year. Any chance you could check ICP? Oh, Internet Computer Ponzi? Just for you, and because I'm intrigued at the chart. Oh well, oh my lord. Internet Computer Ponzi. I mean, it's a good place to take some profit. If you're long IMO, and just if I was long in from any of this consolidation or down here, I'd be looking to shave some off here. Start pushing that rationale. Reason for me would literally just be like, it's a very janky divergence, but you've got quite a clear high time frame level there. But equally, this was obviously an absolute ripper. Oh god, this was an absolute ripper before. Can we look at PAL? Yeah, of course. In terms of low cut bags, full disclosure, I have sold some. I have taken some profits on, you know, what is a massive gain. That doesn't mean I am bearish on it or anything. It just means that, you know, I want to de-risk a little bit of some altcoin positions because I am, yeah, have quite a few of them. I know I sold some here. No, maybe it was, yeah, when was it? Oh, yeah, it was in here somewhere. Maybe it was back here. I don't know. That wasn't even about. Yeah, it's probably about there. Oh, whatever. Stream pros? No, I shouldn't have done. No. Hello? Can you hear me? Them notification sounds giving me anxiety? What notification sounds? Not about. Stream's choppy. Ow, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, Pal's been one of those that, I've tweeted about it for a long time, like down here. Let's have a look. Like, it is very, very choppy. And I don't really like particularly choppy charts for, the purposes of TA. It does TA work, blah blah blah. Yes, I think it does, because it gives you invalidation on your longs and on your shorts, and it gives you areas where you are wrong, or areas where you can kind of enter a trade. I mean, for me, it's just like a very simple high time frame range, and actually, we've just reclaimed that mid range, and yeah, chances are it at least goes to here. And if it does go to there, then reasonably we've had quite a lot of selling pressure at this level previously. So 1, 2, 3, 4 taps at that level. Maybe this is the next leg up. It's a very good project. Fundamentally, they are partnering with literally everybody. They have a lot of people on board. It's pretty incredible that they sold off whatever this was, like 50% or something. And then, like, as soon as they started moving again, like 80% in a day, like absolute madness. But this is the volatility of low caps, right? If you can't handle that kind of volatility, you can handle that volatility better with much lower position sizing. So, instead of yeeting 10k of your 100k portfolio in there, just do 2. Just do a smaller percent. HI, did I miss RNDR? I actually haven't really looked at RNDR for a long time. Yeah, I mean, power looks good. RNDR. I actually want to see RLB because I haven't looked at RLB in a while. No, very off meta. My baby rune's kind of waking up. That's nice. RNDR, let's have a look at RNDR. Ooh. Alright, let's look at some high time frame momentum. I mean, you can just see that the momentum is pretty ridiculous on this one. Are you asking from the perspective of you're long and you're wondering where to take profit, or like where to jump on board? This. I mean, for me, it's like that momentum is very, very strong. And even this, Do you write your journal? Do you use Word or something? So I do 2 things. Well, technically I do 3 things. I've got a piece of software that does it. It's called... let's have a look. Trader Make Money. I don't use that as much as I should, to be honest, but that's connected to my accounts, and I need to reset that up, actually, thinking about it, for my new account. But I use a Discord, so I have my own Discord that is just me, and it's different channels, different setups, different thoughts, different bits and pieces, and of course, being a former accountant, I have a spreadsheet. So I'm a little bit more complex in the sense of I have investments, I have spot bags, and for tax purposes I do things slightly differently with those than I do for my trading and my quote-unquote income, because it works differently in the UK. So if I buy some spot and I hold it for 2 years and I don't sell it for that period, and then I sell it beyond the 2-year period or whatever, then that should be capital gains. Equally, if I invest in a project via like a sale agreement for tokens, that should be capital gains. So I have quite a complex tracker for all that kind of stuff. But yeah, a mixture of Excel, a piece of software in that Trader Make Money, and a Discord. So just my own Discord, just like for me, because you can just dump images in there. You can record videos if you want to. I don't really do that, but I take screenshots. Like after a trade, I'll take a screenshot and I'll just be like, you know, this worked out. Or if you get a bad execution, or you cost yourself a ton of money on poor execution and bad trade management, you know, just chuck a screenshot in there and just remind yourself of how much of a pleb you are. And then think about next time, what are you going to do differently? ETC, well that is actually, yes, that very much looks like it's just about a fucking full cent. Yeah, I really like that. I really like that kind of setup. Literally, like for me, it's where are you wrong in this, and it is basically sort of under there. So you wouldn't want it to come back down into this level. So the long setup for me would look like this. It depends how aggressive I want it to be, but like I'd be going for something like that. Yeah, make it worth your while type thing. I check pond. Do you post memes for yourself to chuckle later on it? Nah. I spend a lot of my life looking at memes, so I actually have like thousands of memes on my phone. If you get started from beginning in trading, how will you start to learn? Do I shill the group? I think it depends how you learn best, to be honest. You know, I went through a paid course. I went that route because I'm not afraid to pay for education from people who have been doing it for longer than I have. And, you know, that's my opinion. Some people don't have that same view, and that's fine if you don't have that view. Yeah, for me, I learn better when I'm allowed to ask questions, and when I get that feedback, and when I can just post a chart and I can do something and I can go like this, and beyond just what the market tells you, right? The market tells you you're wrong, and you'll see that in your P&L. But having that two-way process worked really well for me. So yes, that's kind of how I would do it. And start as you mean to go on. So have a plan, have a journal, take it seriously, you know, or don't. Right? You kind of have to decide who you want to be. Are you gonna try and be the guy that gets rich punting $10 in every meme coin that ever exists, or are you gonna be somebody who stares at the Bitcoin chart and you're deep in order flow of you know, BTC, and you're going to be a solely BTC focused trader? You're going to look at altcoins. Are you looking to be an investor? Are you looking to be, you know, a long-term macro person that trades bonds? Oh, fuck knows. Like I don't know. I'm sure there are courses for that. But yeah, really think about it and have a plan. And then find people who have that, who have achieved what you want to achieve, and offer that service. Long the fill narrative. I missed the fill trade. I wasn't about, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that narrative. Here, Zolk. What are the things to look for in a paid course to know it's legit? That's a good question. I suppose the way that I judged it was like when I was initially looking. Obviously, I'm biased on my own stuff, but the way I did it was I wanted to be with people who didn't use like the bullshit rocket emojis, just flex winning trades, because, you know, my experience wasn't that I was just winning every trade, because I wasn't, to be quite frank, and I didn't want to learn from people who are telling me that it's the easiest thing you'll ever do and blah blah blah. And then I started like not monitoring their trades, but just seeing their takes and seeing how they played out. And again, not like monitoring them or copy trading or doing anything like that, but just like seeing how transparent they are or are not. And I think that's the thing for me. And obviously, do they know what they're talking about in terms of trading the markets? How long have they been here? How long have they been trading? What are my intraday thoughts on BTC? Order flow looks ass. I mean, I don't trade using order flow, my friend. That is Big Mac. If you want to know that, I mean, just from a price action perspective, like that doesn't look great in terms of momentum divergence into a breakout into a momentum divergence isn't particularly wonderful. I learned from SC. Technically, I learned from a lot of people. I would credit 5 people, probably with how I develop my trading style. And I wonder if you guys can guess those 5 people. I'll have a slurp of water while you try and guess. Ante, good guess. But no, actually. I'd say it took me a while to find something that fit my style. I'm not sure quite how long, because I kind of feel like I'm changing it a lot. Not a lot. I kind of feel like I changed it a lot over like 2018, 2019. Yeah, to be fair, you've all done pretty well there. The 5 people who I would say I've taken bits of their systems and thought processes in the space, and that doesn't mean I haven't learnt from other people as well, by the way, but they are SC, XO, CBS, Hasaka, and Magus. And those 5 people, if you look at my trading style and most of theirs, you will see some similarities. I've kind of... The thing that made the most sense to me was this, and when Hasaka did it in Excel, that is what made total sense. I want to be along the fastest horse in the race every time, and that is literally my like raison d'etre in terms of trading. I want to be long, strong alts. That's it. If you can do that, the game is so much easier. So much easier. I mean, I love the likes of GCR, but I'm just not as good as I used to be at like high time frame narratives, because I pay less attention to it. I've not switched off from it entirely, but I don't want to be the predictor, and I never was. Like, I'm never claiming to be anything like GCR Christ, but I used to give a lot of thought as to what the next like rotation would be, and I think at the end of 2021 I said that Social Fi would be like the next big thing, that if it came out and I saw something doing that, I would go balls deep in it. And unfortunately, Friend Tech fucked it up for everybody because they didn't launch a token, they just did some shitty room bullshit. Yeah. CBS engraved RSI into my brain? Yeah. Do I have to sacrifice something on a full moon night to get taught by Osaka? I don't know. I don't think Osaka does any teaching or anything like that. Do I use Orion Terminal? And there was a question about in Silico as well. So Orion, yes, very, very good in terms of looking at what's being traded, what's kind of coming up as confluence in terms of ticks and volume, etc., and OI delta changes, etc. Volume delta, OI changes. Like very, very good to kind of point you in the right direction. And the question around Silico Terminal, I struggle with this. I don't use it, and I should. And Magus always tells me off and says I'm giving away, lots and lots of money and fees. But I fundamentally don't trust anyone or anything. And the whole terminal thing, I quite like the Bybit UI. I'm not even joking. And I made money trading on FTX, so fuck it. Oh, I did miss your queue, Faisal. When's it class capital gains? I mean, I'm not gonna give you like tax advice, to be honest, because it's really not my place. But the way that I've done it, and you can treat things as investments or trades. And if you are trading something on a daily basis, that is clearly income. And that is clearly, a taxable gain or loss from an income perspective because you're doing it for a living. Whereas if you are investing in Bitcoin and you bought it in 2017, you've held it till now, and you finally sell some, that is quite clearly a capital gains because you are investing in an asset and you have held it for a long time. So the other bit is if you're doing like private sales and you invest in that, there is usually clauses in there that say like the team can withhold tokens if the market conditions aren't right and all that kind of bullshit, which means that, and that has happened and teams have walked away with money and all sorts of stuff, so don't just think that that side of things is all guts and glory. It isn't. So from that perspective, I justify that as capital gains as well. But not financial advice, not tax advice, nothing like that. How and when is spaghetti most useful? Spaghetti is just useful for telling you like what is strong and what isn't. Spaghetti is useful in so many different ways. It can give you trades and it can tell you when you are in the wrong trade. Like if you are in a say long now, this is not what you want to see. This is not what you want to see at all. Like, I'm not even looking at that chart, but I'm assuming that it's going to be dropping from a decent level. Like, okay, so this here could be our sweep and our reclaim, and this is where we get on board a nice rotational play. Let's move it somewhere with just a little bit more confluence. Let's see if we can actually get something going like live in terms of an example. I want to see say in particular, and I want to start seeing that rotational. Let's make this fucking massive just so that we. Let's do that. Yeah, lovely. Lovely. Let's start trying to see when that changes and when that beta comes back, because that's when I'll start looking for a potential trade and a potential long. Because right now it's like literally the shittest or one of the shittest coins out there, and you want to start seeing that recover. Yeah. So you've got the confluence now of, well, this has just told you that it's shitting the bed. Great. Let's see if we can get a mean reversion play out of it at a range low level with a very clean reclaim and a nice invalidation of that. Or it's just going to absolutely shit the bed and there's no trade, right? Either way. But that's spaghetti. That's one of the ways. A better trade on spaghetti is usually if everything's doing this, and then something just starts doing this. So Nia did it this morning when I was recording my video, as an example. Nia just started like blasting off, and I missed that trade entirely. Do I use spaghetti for shorting? Not really, no. Not anymore. How can a UK national create and trade a new account on Bybit since there are recent change in legislation? It's a very good question, Rejected. I am of course multinational. Man's international now, fam in it. RB comeback? I don't know. I mean, it's so kind of off meta at the moment. I don't know. This might not play out. It's doesn't look like it's going to right this second, but yeah, we looked at RLB earlier in terms of where is it? Alright, I'm gonna close the stream in a minute, boys and girls. I mean, it's not a bad place to take some risk on in terms of it is basically a range low and a bit of a choppy range, but you know, I think it's had its kind of moment in the sun, to be honest. Do you look at it in moments of capitulation as well to look at exactly that? Exactly that. So when you get a really strong market-wide sell-off and you want to know what the first, what the strongest horse is out of that race, or the fastest horse. So everything shits the bed. As soon as you start getting a Dali, like stuff will do this, stuff will do this, stuff will do this. You want to be long in that one, and that's it for me. And usually that one is something that was strong going into it. Usually. But that's me. There is, if you go on my YouTube, if you're on YouTube, you can see a kind of spaghetti chart, talk through an example. So yeah, sorry, that's probably not the most helpful response, but why does Abe look like it? You're just pumping your bags, aren't you? Oh, you're gonna make me look though, aren't you? Is it Ave, Ave? I don't fucking know. There, it looks like every other piece of shit, just going up. Slowly up. Again, I prefer something with sort of cleaner. I suppose it's not too bad in terms of like levels to trade around, but I was looking at this earlier. I was getting horny for the breakout. For a breakout up here. But the breakout that never came. You should have solo. Like, I can't talk about it, otherwise I go to jail. But yeah, I think I'm going to start talking about more low caps, because I just don't really care anymore. Whoops. And the amount of DMs I get about the next ship is unbelievable. What do I think about Ape? I think Ape's trash, and it's had its moment. And unfortunately, as much as I love NFTs, I think most NFTs are shite unless they are building a kind of genuine strong community. So something like Pandas, you know, Ice Bags doing fantastic work over there. I don't own any, no P chill or any shit like that. Like, I just think they're doing good work. But yeah, there's probably some other good ones. So like Sting and Tensorians, like everything they're doing over there. Again, mad community. Again, don't own any, just a friend. I'm trying to think. But like Ape in and of itself, just trash. Just send apes to zero. Bored apes don't deserve to be above 1/8. This for the year and incorporate spaghetti into my trading style. Well, good luck, my friend. Hope for your sake it adds value. And just because it makes sense to me does not mean it's going to make sense to you. Ooh. Nice. What's Unibot doing? Yeah. I've got a low cap. Am I allowed to talk? Yeah, I'm allowed to talk about it. Aimbot is my Unibot equivalent. I don't know what that's doing at the moment. I need to check some low caps. And drum up some exit liquidity, obviously. Hello. You said blur, didn't you? Sorry, I'll do blur that with the last one, and then I will go. So, you know, this is like the upside of having charts marked out. Is that, you know, I would much rather be longing above here and just getting out of this range. As SC said to me, don't diddle in the middle of a range, and that has stuck with me for a long time. And that is like pretty much the middle of this range. Like, yeah, there are better opportunities at IMO. But that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for the support. It's been absolutely wonderful. I've really enjoyed it. It's been a high turnout actually. I think we peaked at 170 odd people, which is a lot between YouTube and Twitch. If you enjoyed it, if you missed parts of it, you can subscribe and watch it back. If you want to support me and give me, retirement monies, sign up to Bybit. There's a link below, and there's a $500 giveaway in my pinned tweet on twitter.com. But yeah, if you've got any questions or whatever, just DM me. I'm actually pretty reasonable at responding. And just ask. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for the vibes. Thank you all for the questions and the participation as well, because hopefully I can give you a little bit of my experience and knowledge, and you can get some questions answered. But it makes it a lot easier for me in terms of content, I suppose, instead of me just chatting shit. It's been a pleasure. Look out for Smart Beta. Good luck with the ETF, whatever happens. And I'll see you soon. Au revoir.